Sophia had always thought of herself as a faithful wife. Married to Daniel for 10 years, she had built a life that many envied. A beautiful home in the suburbs with a white picket fence, two wonderful children who filled their house with laughter, and a husband who adored her beyond measure. Their love story had once been a fairy tale, filled with passion, stolen kisses under the moonlight, and late-night conversations that lasted until dawn. Yet somewhere along the way, reality set in. The responsibilities of marriage, parenthood, and careers slowly chipped away at the magic they once shared. Routine had dulled the spark in their relationship, and Daniel, ever busy with work, had unknowingly distanced himself from her emotionally. Sophia tried to ignore the emptiness that had settled in her heart. She busied herself with chores, school drop-offs, and dinner preparations, convincing herself that this was normal. But deep inside, she longed for something more, an escape from the mundane, a reminder that she was still desirable, still alive. She would stand in front of the mirror, touching the fine lines forming around her eyes, wondering when she had lost the youthful glow she once had. Then she met Lucas. He was charming, attentive, and exciting. Everything she felt Daniel had ceased to be. He was a regular at the cafe where she worked part-time, and their conversations started casually. He complimented her smile, asked about her day, and listened with an intensity that made her feel seen. At first, she dismissed it as harmless flirtation, a little thrill in an otherwise monotonous life. But soon their exchanges became more frequent, their eye contact lingering just a moment too long. One evening, as she wiped down the counter, Lucas reached across, gently brushing her hand. "You deserve to be cherished," he whispered. His words sent a shiver down her spine. She felt guilty but exhilarated. It had been so long since someone had looked at her like that, made her feel wanted. Before she knew it, she found herself tangled in an affair. Their meetings became clandestine, each one more intoxicating than the last. She would lie to Daniel, saying she had errands to run, while she met Lucas in a secluded park or at a quaint little inn on the outskirts of town. The stolen moments, the secrecy, the danger, it all felt like something out of a novel, something that ignited a fire within her that she had thought was long gone. For weeks, Sophia lived in a haze of passion and guilt. She told herself that Daniel wouldn't notice, that she deserved to feel alive again. But every time she returned home to the warmth of her children's laughter and the familiar scent of her husband's cologne, she felt a pang of regret. Still, she convinced herself she could keep both worlds separate. But secrets have a way of unraveling. One evening, as she came home later than usual, Daniel sat at the dining table, his expression unreadable. In front of him lay her phone, its screen alight with the last message from Lucas. "I can't stop thinking about you." Sophia's heart plummeted. She opened her mouth, but no words came. Daniel's voice was eerily calm as he asked, "How long?" Tears welled up in her eyes. "It was a mistake," she whispered. A mistake," he repeated, his voice breaking. "You were my world, Sophia." Regret crashed over her like a tidal wave. She had never seen such pain in Daniel's eyes, and suddenly all the moments of excitement with Lucas seemed meaningless. The affair had not brought her happiness. It had shattered the very foundation of her life. Daniel didn't yell. He didn't beg for an explanation. He simply stood up, walked past her, and went into their bedroom, closing the door behind him. And at that moment, she realized that the worst part of betrayal wasn't getting caught. It was losing the person who had loved her unconditionally. Sophia wanted to take it all back, to undo the damage, but some wounds cut too deep. She sat in the darkened living room, staring at the wedding photos that lined the walls, each one now a painful reminder of what she had destroyed. Her children slept peacefully upstairs, unaware that their world was on the brink of collapse. Days turned into weeks, and though Daniel remained in the house, he was no longer present. He moved like a ghost, speaking only when necessary, his warmth replaced by an icy distance that cut her deeper than any words ever could. She watched helplessly as the man she loved slipped further and further away, and for the first time, she truly understood the weight of her actions. She had been searching for excitement, for passion, but she had traded love for a fleeting fantasy, and now she was left with nothing but regret. Months passed, and Sophia tried everything to make amends. She left handwritten notes on Daniel's bedside table, cooked his favorite meals, even wore the perfume he once loved on her. But nothing worked. The pain in his eyes remained, and the silence between them grew louder. One evening, she found Daniel in the backyard, sitting alone with a glass of whiskey, the smell of the oak and firewood mixed with the cool night air. She approached him hesitantly, her heart pounding. "Daniel," she whispered, sitting beside him, "I miss you." He exhaled slowly, his gaze fixed on the dark horizon. "You didn't miss me when you were with him," he said, his voice devoid of emotion. Tears spilled down her cheeks. "I was lost," she admitted. "I was selfish. But I love you." For the first time in months, he looked at her, really looked at her. His eyes were tired, burdened by betrayal. But beneath it all, there was still something there. Was it love, or just the remnants of a life they had built together? "I don't know if I can forgive you," he said at last. "I don't know if I want to." Sophia nodded, swallowing the lump in her throat. "I'll wait," she whispered, "for as long as it takes." But deep down, she feared that some mistakes could never be undone.